the time has come, my friends. I'm going to show you how to fix the the 3-pack Daredevil that we just got. So, I actually saw a couple people actually do this afterwards too, because as soon as I saw this Daredevil, when they announced him, I was like, his shoulders, they're too small. And then as soon as I did it, of course, you know, before I could actually post anything about it, I saw on Instagram somebody had just switched out the shoulders, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm glad that's, you know, I wasn't the only one that had that idea. That's kind of cool. But I did a lot more than just switch the shoulders. So, yeah, let's get into it, because if I turn him this way, you can see he just looks so much broader. The reds don't match up as nice under the lights because, you know, it just looks shiny because it's plastic. You know, of course, it's going to look shiny under there unless you dull it. But in normal light, it looks perfectly fine for me. But I took the retro wave. I don't know. It wasn't even a wave, but like the retro Falcon. I took his shoulders, and then I took the Joe Fixit. Was it a Joe Fixit wave, I think? I took that wave Falcon. I took his arms. I trimmed and cut off the gold things so he'd still be able to put his hand in there. And then I took the paint off of his wraps for starters. But from the Shadowland Daredevil, I took the paint off of that because I actually painted these, because these are the ones that I actually did put on my other custom, which I will bring in here in a minute. But I took those, put them on here, and then I also used the feet from the retro one because I liked the idea of, I mean, it was cool that they gave Daredevil toe joints, but he was also too short. So if you watch that video, you know how tall he is next to Bullseye and Spider-Man and stuff. And if I bring Bullseye and Spider-Man in now, because I gave him those shoes that have treads, he's actually just a hair taller than Bullseye, but he is a decent amount taller than Peter. And I think that's perfect. I think that works perfectly. And I feel like Matt doesn't really need toe joint. Like, I get it. That's a cool thing that a lot of people are like, yeah, we got a Daredevil with a toe joint. I personally don't need that, and I do like the idea of him having treads because it just, I don't know. It's my version of Daredevil, you know? But I mean, this is going to be probably a short and sweet video, but I'm going to talk about it a lot more in depth here. So I did, as I said, I took off the wraps from this Daredevil that I made and put them on this one because I didn't feel like getting another one to do that, which I may at some point, or I may honestly just sculpt on this one or just paint up his arms to do that. And I still haven't decided yet. I don't think I'm going to, because I really do like the idea of this one being kind of a more modern / my own version of Daredevil, and then this being more of a classic one with like a hint of modern flair to it. But I'm still kind of going back and forth on whether or not I want to put this belt on this Daredevil. I have not quite decided yet, and I think I'm going to leave it the way that it is. But I'm very proud of how it turned out. And I also did, so I'm going to still put blue tack in there, but you can see that's a different color now. I did cut the peg in half for his neck, and I'm going to see if I can find, here it is. I cut that in half, so I could actually, if it would focus, so I could put another peg in there, so his head can actually go back now, and he can look up all the way instead of only being able to look up to like right here, because it's Daredevil. He needs to be able to look around all that stuff. So yeah, you can get a lot more emotion and whatnot out of him. But I really could not be happier with how this turned out. The only things that I still may do, I still have not quite decided on whether or not I'm going to do it. I kind of want to take his sticks and paint the edges silver like I did on this custom, because I just think it adds a little something to his sticks, and I think it just throws in a little dash of color, and just they look a lot more, they look less toy-y and less plastic, you know what I'm saying? And I have yet to decide on whether or not I do want to put some darker red around the eyes, because I'm not going to do black like I did on that one, even though I do love how this looks. I may put some dark red around the eyes just to make them pop a little more, because I feel like his eyes kind of get lost in the sculpt itself. I remember when this used to focus. There we go. It just gets kind of lost in there. I feel like it's not as bright. The eyes aren't as bright as they should be. But and when it comes to using these shoulders and stuff, they still are beautifully articulated. And what people were doing with just switching out the shoulders, they trimmed down the pegs of it. But I hate trimming down the pegs for shoulders because so many times that I've tried to trim down a peg for a shoulder and then put down, or for like the shoulder part of it going to the actual arm. So I've tried to do that so many times. It just doesn't work out for me. It always ends up being just a tad off. So if I go to move the arm, it'll just pop right off. And that's not a problem that I have because this shoulder and arm were made to go together. So, and it's pinless and it just works, you know? Like, I think that obviously, like I said, the red is a little bit off, but like here, for instance, which one should I turn off? Which one would make it look better? Let's see. So, well, I mean, that right there, you can kind of see, like you can see the red from his head to his torso to his arm, and it doesn't look bad at all, I feel like. Like, especially if you catch him at this angle, where there is some shadow hitting him and whatnot, it looks really good. I don't think there's too much of a difference. And I also do like the fact that there is a slight difference from his arm to his wraps and hand, because the wraps and the hand actually are around the same color, and these are the same hands that came with this Daredevil. So that's really cool as well. But it almost has a different sort of color to it. And I think that looks good because it's not just one whole uniform color, because it makes this brighter red for his hands and his wraps go along with the buckle and his logo and his eyes. And it looks really good. I'm very happy with how that turned out. Not that it's a contest, because they are very much the same, you know, love and effort and stuff that I put into them and everything like that. But what do you guys think? Do you guys like... I personally, between my two customs, I actually like this one more. I'm a lot happier with how this one turned out. I like how this one turned out. I do love this guy. But I do like that I have more articulation on this one. I like that I was able to take something that we already had and just spruce it up just that little bit instead of having to make a full custom. Because, I mean, I love making full customs. Making full customs is great. But doing just little things to tweak a figure that's already pretty solid to make it, just to elevate it to that next level, it's pretty much kind of the same sort of thing that I did with this Spider-Man. Because when it came to this Spider-Man, like I said, I switched out the head because this one doesn't have any paint flecks or anything on it like the base version of this one did. But I also gave him the toe joints from the Renew Your Vows Spidey. And it doesn't, you know, fundamentally change the figure in any sort of way, but it just adds that little bit of extra spice to elevate it to that next level of making it a really, really good figure to a phenomenal figure. And I believe that that is what I've done here with this Matt. I think his proportions look a lot better. They look a lot cleaner. His shoulders look broader. He doesn't look like they're kind of slumped down a little. And his biceps also look bigger too, which is really good. And like I said, he is a little bit taller now. He's definitely taller than Peter, because before they were about the same height, and I think Matt was just a hair taller, which it wasn't really jiving with me, because I feel like Matt Murdock is supposed to be just a little bit taller than Peter, and like he's, you know, I mean, he is still an average like size dude and all that stuff, but he's like, in that video, for instance, I did bring out both this Spider-Man and the Captain America. So if I bring them back in here, you can see what I'm talking about, because I said it would be nice if he was around the middle of them, and he actually is about the middle of them right here. I think this looks good. He's not as tall as Captain America, but he's taller than Spider-Man, and I think that that's a perfect middle ground for me. And yeah, it also was not hard to do at all. So if it is something that you are interested in doing, you will need to buy both those other Falcon figures, unless you do want to just get the shoulders and try and, you know, trim down the pegs going into the biceps just to see if you could get the base arms on there. Oh, I guess you would have to buy 3 figures, because you'd have to Dremel out the wraps on there. But if that's not something you really care about, you could always just paint up the arms, you know. But yeah, it was actually a relatively simple process. I was very happy with how it turned out. And yeah, let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments below, and I will catch you all in the next one. See ya.